Welcome to another Arius Wave update. So this is the latest view on the US dollar. Now I'm going to show you how this pertains to the euro shortly, but I just thought it would be interesting to start here because this is building on what I've been seeing after making those last few videos on Bitcoin, Dow Jones, Nasdaq. As we move on in this series, exactly what I wanted to happen has happened, right? I'm starting to see all these things come together in particular ways, which are actually very interesting as much as I can say. So what is this pattern? This pattern, I've been discussing it for a long time now, and it's beginning to become very clear what this pattern actually is. Now, if you're having a look at my labels right now, you may be wondering what this is. And I'll tell you straight up, it's an A wave. It's a zigzag, right? Which means that whatever started in 2008, right, it hasn't finished yet. And I find this particularly fascinating because of what we're seeing in the markets, right? 2008, 2021, right? Something's going to happen that'll finish this move off. And then I believe we're going to see a lot of upside in all markets once this move completes. Okay. Now, this is what I've been looking for. This is the answer to the riddle of what I've been looking for. And it's absolutely astonishing that I've actually come to this conclusion now, because it is adding to the previous ideas. Like I said, in this series, we're adding to the previous ideas. We're building on previous ideas, right? There's nothing wrong with being wrong. Failing is good because it gets you one step closer to your goal, which is understanding the general view of what's actually happening. Do we think the US dollar is going to collapse and crash? Sure, I reckon it's definitely going to take a pretty big hit. But how are we going to get there? What's it going to look like? And slowly, all these things are now starting to come to light, which means I can now continue through this series and include a whole bunch of things, not just cryptos, because it's just that much has come to light, and that's totally fascinating for me. And especially because I remember a lot of waves, and I then put two and two together, and a whole bunch of dominoes go off in my mind that really connect all the dots together. Okay, so my previous view on the US dollar when I started this series was incorrect, but I wanted to put it out there because I need to be wrong. I want to be wrong, right? The more that I'm wrong, the closer I get to being right. Okay. Now, there's always this one particular wave that throws you off completely when you're doing analysis. And I believe that I have found that culprit, that wave that has been causing the most trouble with trying to figure out this analysis. Can you see the wave that I'm talking about? It is the B wave. It is this thing here. This wave here has been the most weirdest wave B that I've seen. Okay. And I'm going to explain just how much this has been happening across the board, because it's totally interesting to me, and it's going to actually paint the picture that we need in order to confirm our analysis. All the previous videos leading up to now, it's going to confirm it, right? So in this particular view, we're going to see E wave, which now I have actually counted as a straight 5-wave move. Okay. I'll get to that on the Euro video because the wave is pointing up and it'll just make it much more easy to explain it, right? But this is basically still in a wave 4 correction. And part of the reason why now it's become so clear is because I've seen this correction unfold, and it's started to make a lot more sense as to what's going on here. Okay. So we are going to see a move. Oops, sorry. Let's go back one step. We are going to see, okay, the E wave will complete wherever that falls down to. I don't think we should use this channel as any kind of guide because it doesn't seem right to me. It's just, I'm just using this to illustrate and highlight the green as a wave A using certain points, but you know, just don't look at that too much. It's not that important. Okay, so we're going to see a move that basically is going to be the same length as wave A or maybe slightly longer potentially, and it's going to do this. Okay, it's going to go up here and it's going to complete this zigzag which started in 2008. Okay, that's the cool part because we have one more crash coming. I've been saying this. All right, I've been saying this and now it's all starting to come together. This is going to happen in all markets. It's going to happen in the Dow Jones. It's going to happen in the NASDAQ, in Bitcoin, right? This is going to send shockwaves, but even though it's going to seem really bad, it's going to be the end of this pattern, right? So this has been an uptrend for the US dollar since 2008, okay? So you know, it's easy to think, okay, but why has the market gone up? That's interesting. That's an interesting question, right? Against everything that's happening with the US dollar, the market still continued to go up at any opportunity that it could, right? You saw what happened in 2017 in the markets. This was a corrective pattern, and look what the Dow Jones did, right? You saw this move here in 2020 to now, and that's just a corrective move, and look what the market did. Okay, in basically, there's no point going over all of it because those were the main moves. You did see, obviously, the market go up during this period of time, right? And it's interesting because wave 3 in the Dow Jones, in that latest impulsive move since 2009, it was actually a fairly weak looking wave 3, and the reason why is because it was fighting against the US dollar. Now, the interesting part here is going to be when B wave starts and we see this massive move to the downside, the kind of price action that we're going to see in the markets then when this is actually in a bear market. This is going to be absolutely insane, right? So this is why I am bullish across the board. In general, I'm bullish. But it comes with a caveat. And that is that we still need to see one more move. And is it a coincidence that it's going to be huge like the GFC? No. The evidence has mounted and mounted and mounted, and look where we've ended up, right? Can you see it? It's amazing. And the good thing about this is that it's a type 1 expanded zigzag where price action comes back to the end of wave A. Right there. This is exactly what I teach, and it's amazing. All I can say. And I'm thankful to have found this pattern now, and I'm going to show you what this looks like on the euro, and then I've got something else I want to show you. Okay. So let's look at this on the euro, and this is actually going back to when I was bearish the euro. It's actually almost the same thing, and I think I was onto something there, except this wasn't a C wave. Now you have to understand with fractal patterns, it's very easy to get them mixed up, and you can get easily tripped up by thinking something is going to happen, but then it's not quite that. But it's still a fractal pattern because you have to understand that all corrections are the same. But there are specific clues that tell you that it's not quite what you think it is. And look, it's an ongoing journey, and I always say this, and I'm never going to stop saying it. It's not RES wave that is wrong. It's actually the person who interprets the waves that gets it wrong, right? And in this case, it's absolutely amazing how this is proving itself to be the case. So basically before I thought this was a 1 down here, right? And I thought this was going to be wave 2, and then we're going to see a wave 3 down. It's going to collapse the euro. Okay, that was the previous view. But instead, what I think it is now is that, yes, this is A, that's B, and now we're just going to see C wave to finish off the zigzag. That's it. That's all it is. It's just one move down. And you can now start to see how I've been piecing all the market evidence together and this together and forming that view. And it's all I can say is it's pretty amazing stuff. Okay, this is why I love waves, and even though it took me quite a while to get it, I believe that we're onto something now, and this material is going to be processed into my special market analysis on my program that I have, but I also do other things to make it more interesting, right? So you get a very good chunk of that knowledge here, but there is also a lot of other stuff that I do to help understand the waves. Anyway, so in this particular view, we're looking at this as a 1, 2, 3 complete. Now, the one thing that I wanted to wait for is this. This pattern right here is a wave 4. It's become abundantly clear that we have a 3, 3, 5, and now we're in D. It's always D, isn't it? So what I think is going on here is we're seeing A of D, and then we're going to see a B like that, right? And then we're going to see that 1 for E, and then we're going to make our final high. Okay, that's what I see happening here. So it's basically going to create like a mini head and shoulders pattern. You can trade that up technically, and then you hit your target, and then it's basically the end of wave E, and that's when we're going to see, that's when we're going to see the reversal. So it's basically as simple as that. This particular piece of evidence that I'm giving you right here, this is it. This is going to be the top. So what's going to happen in this time? Well, this is what I think Bitcoin is doing. It's exactly what I think Bitcoin is doing in this particular scenario, where it's actually within wave 4 still. It's almost the same sort of pattern, right? And what we're seeing now is, yeah, it's just going to sort of drift upward until it tops. Okay, so that's super cool. That's really just helping us determine when we're going to top out, right? So if we can see across many different charts when the top is coming, I'm pretty sure that we're going to be able to, pinpoint the area where it tops pretty well. Okay, so I suppose in this scenario, it may even look like it may be breaking out, and then it's just going to totally reverse, which is going to be very interesting to see, especially using these types of trend lines in this particular way, I suppose. But anyway, it's not about that really. But anyway, one more thing I wanted to show you, and this is also happening in oil. This is so cool. This is where I really started to think about the B wave that's been causing all this trouble. It's the same thing that we're seeing in oil, right? The same thing. So 2008, we had our wave A. Then we had our wave A, right? So that's wave A in brackets. That's wave A. And then we had our B, which ended in April 2020, right? So this is amazing, right? And the only thing that's really weird about this is that C wave was much longer than A wave, which is fine. But this part here is amazing because you can only make a zigzag from this pattern, and then you have this really big zigzag that goes down with a really long wave C, and then you have a wave C, and then another zigzag, and then a wave E, and that's totally a wave E because it's weird. Wave E's are always weird. They just are. And this fits the bill for a wave E. And then finally we saw wave C down, which ended wave B of wave B in brackets. And then since then, this beautifully takes me back to the idea that I had initially on what this was. And to me, this is absolutely amazing. This is a CDE pattern, right? CDE. So the way that I measure this is E wave is the same length as wave C. Okay, so what we're seeing, and you can see the little D wave in the middle there. It's a perfect little zigzag. It was pretty cool, I reckon. But basically, what it's doing is that measured move is going up to the exact point of this high, right? And you can see, if you look back through time, you can see that there's actually a lot of resistance around this area, right? And then if you measure down the length of the 2008 drop in the GFC, you actually get down here to minus $37. So this is interesting. We're going to go negative again in oil to complete this move. So what does that mean? Does that mean that this crisis is not over yet? I would say that you would be right if you thought that, but that's just my opinion. Okay, that's just my opinion. Please don't use this as your only source of analysis. Just use this as a guide. But all I can say is this stuff is absolutely fascinating. When you start to really drill into the waves and learn them, you start to see some pretty amazing things. So this is also a type 1 expanded zigzag, because it did expand to the downside, but then it came back, and this one will actually end above the end of wave A in brackets anyway. So whatever, it's just a drawn out zigzag, and to finally understand this pattern to me is phenomenal. So we have the US dollar that needs to make one more move to the upside to complete the zigzag, and we have oil that needs to make one more final move to the downside to complete the zigzag. So you can see how that inverse correlation is alive and well here. The pattern, the waves are different in each market. Well, when you're referring to oil versus like the euro or whatever, they are different. They don't happen at the same time in the same way, but you can definitely see them, right? And this is amazing because it answers a lot of questions that I had about previous analysis from the beginning, since way before I was doing back testing on many different charts, right? So this is basically, it's like extended back testing, except now we're dealing with scenarios that are happening right now in the moment, this is just the way it goes when you learn Arias Wave. You eventually surprise yourself, and here I am sharing it with you because this is what I do for the followers. And this is also an amazing chart, right? And this all does relate back to cryptos because, right, you have to understand that the move in 2017, right, you got to look at it like this. That was just down here, right, like that. Okay, that was that move there, right? This is going below. It has to, by definition of a zigzag in Arias wave terms, has to go down below where that started in 2017. So this fits perfectly with my analysis in the crypto space, and I will continue to basically dive deep on these waves and bring out way more amazing content. But presenting here is presenting itself here is an amazing opportunity. As long as you have the right kind of view, you will be able to catch this low when it happens in the cryptos. So yeah, we're not bullish the US dollar. It's just a temporary crisis that is going to complete something that started in the GFC. That's why I call it GFC 2.0. Right? You'll see all those videos linked down below in related ideas. And then eventually you'll start to piece together the clues, and it's all going to become clear, and then you're going to love Arias Wave, and who knows, you might even want to learn it one day. But at least we can track this and we can prepare ourselves for what's ahead. so we can become profitable and make long-term decisions based on solid evidence and not just following the crowd. Hopefully you found this video interesting and informative. Thank you for watching.